Good morning. Happy Wednesday. I had to think for a moment. What day is this actually? Wednesday. Welcome, welcome. I'm Dr. Bonnie Nussbaum here with your early morning intuitive guidance, where we talk about all manner of things that hopefully give you pause and give you things to think about during the course of the day, and hopefully set some of us up to make some shifts, subtle or radical, that change the trajectory of our life. So, we'll give it a minute as everybody arrives, as always, but let's start with the breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Welcome, Barb. You're the first one here today. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Feel your shoulders drop. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Breathing and allowing. In through the nose, hold, out through the mouth. Doesn't that feel good? Good morning, Joe Neal. Welcome back. Welcome back. Hope you had an awesome adventure. Good morning, Peggy. Glad you're here. Welcome. Just some nice deep breaths, cleansing breaths. We have an auspicious day today, right? We had a full moon. Good morning, Mel. My accountability buddy and friend, Kayleen Welsh, calls yesterday a reboot. It's a universal reboot. So hopefully you kind of felt some of that energy. It was shaking stuff up. It was not lost on me that that reboot day was the day that many things in my typical Tuesday canceled. Good morning, Gwen. Glad you're here. And other things were put into the day. Good morning, Janine. Welcome. That aren't typically there. Like I took my dad to get his COVID and flu boosters for the season, myself as well, so I got really sore left arm. But when you got someone who's pushing 90, you got to make sure you're doing what you need to do to take care of people. So it was an interesting day yesterday, and I kept thinking about how it was a day of reboot, a day of, okay, the control alt delete of life, right? So we actually have Tosha Silver today, Outrageous Openness, Letting the Divine Take the Lead. And it is interesting that she's actually talking about the new that happens at the spring equinox. So again, it's a circle. It's a circle. We tend to, in America, view it as linear, a lifeline from birth to death, as just the walking of the earth plane, instead of circular, which is how most indigenous people tend to look at it, which is how most astrologers look at it, which is how a lot of us have shifted our perspective from that linear perspective to a circular perspective. Good morning, Tammy. Welcome, welcome. We have 6 of you here right now. So, and again, whenever you show up, I feel like whatever message is coming through today is one you're meant to hear. It's one you're meant to hear. So, again, Outrageous Openness, Tosha Silver. And if you have the book and want to read along, it's page 70. And the title, I think, has taken on an interesting twist in these times in which we live. Good morning, Cindy. Welcome. Glad you're here. It's called Radical Release. And I think the word radical, good morning, Carolyn. Welcome, has taken on a whole different meaning than what it can mean, or what, if you look at the dictionary definition, it would mean, kind of like out of the ordinary, out of the mundane, sort of that. But we've put connotations on that word radical. Look at all the connotations that have gotten loaded on the word Christian lately. There's so many things like that. The word gay, all of these words that had initial meanings, that if you look them up, you go, oh, yeah, we don't really look at it like that anymore. So don't freak out about the word radical. Just know that it means out of the ordinary, okay? So there's a quote at the beginning of this, and it's just a short little page-and-a-half chapter, all right? But let's free ourselves up to really take in this message. In through the nose, out through the mouth. And interestingly, this chapter speaks more about her own personal life than some of the other stuff does. I mean, she certainly shares a lot of stories from her life, but this one is really intimate. So, the quote is the final words of Jesus: "Into thy hands I commend my spirit. Into thy hands I commend my spirit." Tosha says, "I find these words to be some of the most ravishingly beautiful ever uttered. But I'm no Christian, and not much of a practicing Jew either, though I have 6, count them 6, rabbis in my extended family. Over time, my spirituality has become an ongoing, wildly intimate love affair with the divine, within and without, independent of all formal religion." And this quote says it all. So, interesting. Pay attention. How many of us had an initial reaction to her saying she's not a Christian and she's not much of a Jew either? How many felt that judgment muscle start to get triggered, right? And really, who she is this amazing free spirit who has walked an in-depth path with the divine, with the universe, with God, however you frame it. And so it's interesting for me to hear her perspective on this, because she's done the work. She's done her work. And will her work satisfy those who are very stuffy and boxed in by formal religion? No, not at all. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. This is her walk with the divine. Every year at the spring equinox, the sun crosses the sensitive point of 29 degrees Pisces, the last of the zodiac. In the world of the stars, we reach the year's grand finale. When the equinox arrives, the sun moves to 0 degrees Aries, and the wheel of life starts once more. Again, a circular model instead of the linear model we tend to espouse in America. Good morning, Trudy. Welcome, welcome. This is a day of radical release, ushering us to the brink of the new. Calling this the crucifixion degree, metaphysicians often warn not to initiate actions at this time. But I always think if an action is offered completely to God, you can do it at any time. Again, that turn it over to the universe, turn it over to spirit, to the divine, however you frame it. But in her world, she can do it anytime. Not to be fearful of what the stars are doing. Use that as an understanding. Not to be fearful of what, there we go. Yes, absolutely. Happy full moon. The cosmic reboot. The cosmic reboot. Strange thing to say as an astrologer who watches the stars, but honestly, it's true. You can do it anytime. It's the motivation you have for why you're doing it. When your why is big enough, how takes care of itself. I've said that about a bazillion times to a bazillion clients. When your why is big enough, your how takes care of itself. So it doesn't matter if the planets are all aligned and everything's in its proper house and blah, blah, blah. You can use the information however you want to use the information, but do not operate out of fear. I can't possibly make a decision today. Everything's all messed up with the planets. No, 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 no. So here's another story where she's showing that others have actually challenged this directly to undo that fear component that people have about stuff. There's a story that the great yogi Paramahansa Yogananda would request his astrologers to determine the least auspicious date to start a world tour. Then he would intentionally begin to travel at that exact time to prove that a positive outcome could occur if one moves with God, if one moves with the nudgings, the guidance, the spirit, the energy, the universe. When we move with that freely, it can't be a mess. It can be messy, but it can't be wrong, okay? In Sanskrit, the word aparagra means non-grasping. This next sentence almost made me laugh out loud. Rather than the Western model of chasing, roping, and branding our desires for dear life, Aparagra means moving through the world with an open hand and an open heart. Good morning, Joe Bell. Glad you're here. Moving through the world with an open hand and an open heart. And there's a little prayer here that I think is fabulous. You might want to write it down when we get to it. I like it so much I have it inked on my left ankle next to a bluebird of joy. So here's a good prayer for right now. Let what wants to come, come. Let what wants to go, go. If it is mine, it will stay. If not, whatever is better will replace it. Breathe that in. I'm going to read it again. Breathe it in. Let what wants to come, come. Let what wants to go, go. If it is mine, it will stay. If not, whatever is better will replace it. When you hear that, how does that feel? How does that resonate for you? I kind of take an exhale, especially given where our project is, our affordable housing project. It's kind of like, if this is meant to unfold, it will unfold. The opportunities that are needed will show up. If it's not meant to unfold exactly this way, something better will come along. Hello, Linda. Welcome, welcome. Glad you're here. So I'm going to read that poem one more time. Yes, isn't that awesome? Little prayer. Let what wants to come, come. Let what wants to go, go. If it is mine, it will stay. If not, whatever is better will replace it. And think about that sentence in there, the if it is mine. That's not mine in the sense, it's mine in the receiving sense. And it may be mine in this moment, but then it may be intended to be gifted to someone else, and it becomes theirs. Byron Katie is fabulous at this, absolutely fabulous at this. When someone wiped out her house, her entire house, stealing everything, she was like, oh, well then all that stuff was meant to move on to someone else. And there's other stuff that is meant to come my way. So she was open to it going, she was open to receiving. We have to work at that, right? We've had so much indoctrination. Good morning, Jamie. Glad you're here. We've had so much indoctrination about scarcity. There's not enough to go around. You have to work your butt off. You have to hoard whatever you get, blah, blah, blah. All that fear stuff. Let that go. As best you can, let that go. Breathe into the releasing of it. Practice some stuff. Me giving away my old vehicle was a challenge for me to practice. Let it go. This is no longer meant to be here to serve me. It is meant to move on to serve somebody else. Let it go. See what happens. And that is certainly not how I was raised, where I was raised, squeeze every thin dime out of whatever you can get. Be as conservative as you can be with your money, blah, blah, blah. So this was here, I gift this to you. Let's see what happens. If you fully invoke God's highest will for you, you'll never fear the movement of the stars again. What a relief. What a relief. So we can be in that movement. Feel it now. Just kind of move. If you're creaky, I remember at one point a guided meditation. God, this has to be 20 years ago, maybe even 30. But it was someone working with a whole class of us, and she had us imagining that we were sitting in the palm of God's hand, and she said, now lean back against the thumb. And as I leaned back, literally I could hear, it was like this total letting go of all that control stuff. It was the weirdest sensation, but it really made the point to me that, yeah, you're holding on way too tight. There's more than enough to go around. We're in the flow. We're not in the race. We're in the flow. We're allowing ourselves to be moved where we're meant to go. We still walk, yeah, but it's not this arduous, clamoring, clawing. What did she say? The Western model of chasing, roping, and branding our desires for dear life. That really gives you the sense of how we operate, right? And we, the practical rebels, have been practicing letting that go. So let's take a nice deep breath in. Exhale. Releasing all that no longer serves. All that no longer serves. And sometimes we feel those little fingers of fear when we let go of something. But what if I need it later? What if? What if? Breathe and let it go anyway. Bless it on its way. Bless it on its way. I watched a young woman who is a vintage reseller. I love watching her stuff. And she cleaned out her closet because as a vintage reseller you end up with a whole lot of stuff that maybe you don't wear, maybe you like it but it doesn't fit you quite right, whatever. By the time she was done, she had 2 gigantic bags that she blessed on their way, putting them into one of those bins where you bring the top down, you lay your bag in, and then you close it and it drops in, and hearing them go thump, thump. Let it go. Let it go. Make space. Make space for what's new. Make space for what's meant to come in. And now is a perfect time to do that. Again, this whole chapter is talking about any time is a perfect time to do that. But if you like to think about it in terms of astrological stuff, the cosmic reboot is a great time to let go of a bunch of stuff. So the other day, was that Monday? Might have been Monday. I decided I was going to move out my coat rack. Yes, it was Monday because I had yoga, so I always move my coat rack out so I have room in the library to do yoga. And while the coat rack was away from the bookshelves, I thought, I'm going to see how big a stack of books I can get to release. By the time I was done, it was a pretty good stack. If I held my arms all the way down and put the books in my hands, they came right up under my chin. So they all went over to the rummage sale, which is happening Friday and Saturday. And so the bookshelf is now full over there. And I think we've got like hardcovers for $1 and paperbacks for 50 cents. So bless them on their way. Bless their knowledge to someone else who needs to read it, right? So I'm going to read the prayer again. Take a nice deep breath in. Let it go. Receive these words. Let what wants to come, come. Let what wants to go, go. If it is mine, it will stay in that open hand. If it is not, whatever is better will replace it. I bless you on your way on your fine Wednesday here. We'll see you again tomorrow. Remember, you're capable of far more than you think you are. Bye-bye.